everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Simply Growing Food Podcast. I'm your host, Dillon. Sitting down with Farmer Cass again. How's it going, Cass?
It's going good. Excited to be back. We have not recorded in about a month, actually.
About a month. Why?
Yep.
Why? You know, I'm just a little tired. Why do you think it's been so long?
Well, the real reason I think it's been so long is because we're not really good at this technology stuff.
Bingo!
Uh-huh. So the last time we recorded, we had a solid episode, and then it got deleted.
And it was rock solid. It was really good.
Yeah.
There were laughs, there were tears. It would have held you at the edge of the sheet, but it all got deleted.
Indeed, it did. So we are starting over today, fresh.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of we're hitting that middle of the season wall, I would say.
Yeah. The ice wall. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a flat earth thing.
Okay. Well, we're hitting our wall, but we are revamping.
Mm.
We are going. We've got a wedding to go to in about a month.
Yes, we do.
So that'll be our little bit of a vacation down in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
See some family.
It's in a town called Ohio Pile. And apparently,
I don't know if we're pronouncing that right, but I guess how could you not be?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's pretty straightforward.
But apparently there's like a population of 50 people.
I don't believe that.
I don't know if that's true either. Mm-hmm. That's secondhand information. I'm not.
They can't be true. I think it's probably one of those. It's like a province. Like Brooklyn's a province. Is that correct? Is Brooklyn a province of?
No. Brooklyn is a town.
Oh yeah.
Province sounds very fancy.
I know. I don't think I know what I'm talking about. But either way, yeah. I think that Ohio Pile is probably one of the small towns on the outskirts.
A burrito, you could say.
Yeah, is that what I would say?
Burrito.
I don't know what I would say.
I would say Warrigan.
It's the Brooklyn to Killingley.
Warrigan is a burrito to Brooklyn. And Dayville is a burrito to Killingley.
Is that how you say it? I wish we had we need a person that checks stuff.
I'm fairly certain. People just say burro, but I thought it was the burrito. Is the real way to say it.
The burrito.
I don't know. I can sound like a fool. I don't really care. Anyway, we are going to be talking about our pigs. We just had a beautiful episode of real life farming. The pigs got out.
Indeed.
Pigs got out. And
scary feeling.
Yeah, your heart sinks, and you just kind of want to lay down and not do anything. But you have to, because they got to go home.
They got to go home.
So we had 4 pigs get out?
We did.
Yeah.
Luckily, Poe was outside, so he came quickly.
Yeah, Popo helped us.
Yeah, but they're starting to get bigger than him at this point.
They're
Yep.
They're probably double his weight easily, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I would say those pigs are about 100 pounds.
Yeah.
After having to manhandle that one that was all muddy, pretty gross. I would say they're hitting that 100-pound mark.
Yep.
But we are going to talk a little bit more in depth about the whole program, what we do with the pigs, how many we do, what kind we do, where they come from and why, what it might cost if you were to buy a whole or half pig.
Mm.
So, starting with the variety, we use a hybrid, which is just 2 different pigs crossed together. And they do that because a lot of pigs have different attributes, you might say, different characteristics. Case in point, we used to raise a mix called a Duroc landrace. Duroc being a brown pig, or red pig they would say. Mm. Landrace being your stereotypical white, actually stereotypical pink pig that's super long.
Mm.
And the attributes that are nice, so the Duroc grows meat quickly, and it's super dense, like they're just meaty animals. So they convert grain into muscle, into meat pretty good. Where the landrace is nice is they actually have an extra rib. It's the only pig with an extra rib, so that's a little bit longer, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And landrace...
That is a full rack of ribs.
That is, hey, thanks, Cass. She'll be here all week, folks. Come on out, see her this weekend or this day.
I
Just
won't.
kidding, she's working. She won't be here. Come out and see me. Hey, I'll be here. Gavin will be here. We'll be farming and charming. Anyway, so that's a full rack of ribs. So the land race, a little bit of length, a little extra length, and the Duroc grows quicker, and you get, just meatier pigs. I want to say beefier, but that would be wrong.
That would be wrong.
Porkier.
And as our the guy that got Dillon into farming pigs, Mr. Corey.
Yeah, a parking lot. Yeah, no, Mr. Corey. This guy that got Dillon into pig farming. Wink, wink. Yeah, no, Mr. Corey.
Mr. Corey says you can't call them what is fat.
Oh yeah, you
They're
can't
not
call
fat.
pigs fat. No, that's sacrilege.
Yep. They're not fat. They're meaty.
They're meaty. Yeah, he would even say beefier is more acceptable than calling them fat.
Okay.
Because a good pig is not fat.
Yeah. Right?
Pigs
You don't want that much fat ratio on there.
You don't want that much fat,
Yeah.
Mr. Corey always tells a story about a guy that wanted him to raise pigs for, like a couple of pigs for a very big pig roast this guy was doing. But he wanted John to feed him just milk.
Really?
For 3 months. Like, just milk, a little bit of grain, but mostly milk. And the pigs were just fat. There's like no meat on them whatsoever. They were just blobs of pork fat.
Wow.
Not great. The guy was all upset at John, but John was like, this is what you wanted me to feed him. This is what you get, man. He doesn't do that custom grow stuff like that anymore. He just is like, this is the feed
I was going to say, that's above and beyond. I will feed them
man,
exactly what you want.
farmers.
It's very like, this is totally not like it at all, kind of, but the only thing that could remind me of is surrogacy. You know how you see those movies where people are like, this is what kind of food you have to eat, and they have a diet and stuff?
Sure.
It's like, I'm just going to raise this pig for you. It's a little more morbid at the end, but...
Like I've got a grasp on what's happening. So we're gonna take all the errors and we're gonna keep going. So anyway, Mr. Corey, yeah, he got me into farming pigs. My father used to buy pigs from him way back in the day, and when I started farming, I just started buying pigs from John. It was the only connection I had,
Yes.
So, this year, we're raising 22 pigs. 22 pigs. That's a long...
It's a good lucky number.
Yeah, I guess it is a good lucky number. I like that. It's a good way to look at it. Haven't lost any. Last year we lost one.
We did.
And it happens.
We do have one that's a runt.
Yep, but not lethargic or anything.
No.
It's getting along.
It's just definitely smaller than the rest of them.
Yeah, you're always going to have one.
Yeah.
Luckily, most of them will finish off around the same size.
Okay.
But if we keep that run till the end, we'll get a whole extra month on it, and it won't have so much competition. So might not really be a noticeable difference.
Right. Yep.
Selective picking when we go in to the slaughterhouse there in early October. That's when half the herd goes.
That's going to be tough to selectively pick.
Well, just don't pick the run.
I guess there's only one out of the 22 that we're not supposed to pick,
Yeah,
so the odds are good.
The odds are pretty good.
Yeah.
Odds are pretty good. But yeah, so getting back into the breeds, the Duroc Landrace is my favorite. Unfortunately, John hasn't been really focused on breeding pigs much these days. So, and I don't have a connection to get them. Actually, this year I did learn about somebody in the Rhode Island area that might have some quality stock. But we had already committed to our friends up in Massachusetts at that farm. And that's like a fourth generation research farm. And the reason I like buying from them is I feel like the pigs are really clean. Like they have to be clean in order for them to run the research with the local college and the local hospital that they do business with.
Yep.
They also do sheep and goats for the same reasons, but I never asked to buy any.
Yep.
Actually, that's not true. I did ask Chris, is we'll call him a buddy who owns that farm or whatever, and I was like, hey, I'm coming up. This was last year, year before, and can I buy some sheep? Because I was going to get some lambs. But he said he had to ask his uncle, or I had to ask his uncle. So I don't know how that works. But there's like hundreds of all three of those varieties. You know?
Okay.
So they do a lot up there. And, you know, his price is still cheaper than anyone around here, and his quality. So we take the drive, Mr. Corey and I look forward to it every year. It's a good little trip we do.
Oh.
We usually stop and have lunch
Or
somewhere.
you stop at a bakery or something.
Yeah, he's half Portuguese, half Irish, and he grew up in Seacont, Mass. You know.
That is where my grandma grew up.
Hey,
Ooh.
You know, I asked him if he knew the name, but he couldn't recall.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, you didn't tell him her maiden name.
Right. I wasn't thinking.
Mm-mm.
So we might.
Maybe.
They're about the same age.
I think
jury's,
so.
Jury's still out.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So this farm doesn't do the Durat land race. They do a Yorkshire Hampshire cross, which are both old world, they would call breeds that come from England. And they have New World breeds, which are the Duroc and the land race.
Okay.
So, you know, just the vigor is different. You know, the Yorks and the Hamps were bred for, you know, think about it, England. You know, the climate's a little bit different.
Mm.
And then when they started bringing pigs to the New World, like, they started doing all these crosses and stuff. So that's why we have what we have today. I also heard a thing recently that Spanish conquistadors would leave pigs on islands, and they knew the pigs would survive, so whenever they needed food, they'd just go back to the island, and they'd be like, oh, sweet, our pigs multiplied, you know, now we'll just eat them.
Yeah.
Smart, but also, like, probably really invasive, obviously, you know.
I would say,
Think of the species that the pigs wiped out that were never even discovered in our time, really. You know?
But then it's like, what do the pigs, I guess they eat all the vegetation around there,
They
but...
eat everything.
Yeah.
These guys out here are eating tree roots.
Yeah.
Okay?
They wouldn't become like cannibal pigs, right?
Depends if the island
If there's
can
nothing else
sustain.
on the island, yeah.
Well,
maybe there is. We don't know where this island is.
We don't know. This is all hearsay. I wasn't around then, were you?
Yeah. What island is this?
All sorts.
Okay.
All sorts of pig islands. But anyway, so we are raising the Yorkshire Hampshire cross, and there's nothing wrong with those pigs. Hampshires convert meat pretty well. Yorkshires are really good moms, which is why that farm uses them.
Mm.
And they're a pink pig. Hampshire is a belted pig, you would say. It's got a blue face, and the front hooves also have to be blue, I'm pretty sure. And then it's got a pink belt around the belly, and then the back end is also blue. So that's
Which one has the extra rib?
land race.
Okay.
Land race pigs, yeah. As far as I know, it's the only pig that has an extra rib, you know. And you know what the darn shame about it is like, it'd be cool to have like an heirloom or a heritage breed pig. They call it, you know, like the mule foot, the American mule foot. The only thing unique about it is its feet, which is not what you're growing it for, so I'm not sure why we do it. But it's cool. They just don't convert meat well, like grain to meat, in an efficient time. An heirloom or heritage pigs take almost twice the amount of time to get to size, to get to market size, than these hybrids do.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like we have red sex-linked chickens.
Yep.
Okay? Those are a cross of two really good egg layers, but they're heritage breeds. But the hybrid outperforms both of them.
Yeah.
Well, no kidding, right? It's got the best traits of those parents. It's the same with the pigs.
But, so, would they, you know, in the chicken world, when you go to shows and stuff like that, are they calling them hybrids, or are they calling them crossbreeds?
I would say crossbred.
Okay.
Crossbreeds, yeah. Yeah, but they are a hybrid.
Yeah.
You know, you call it whatever you want. It's two different parent stock creating an offspring.
Yeah.
Same with plants.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. So, so the Yorkshire, Hampshire crosses are pretty good. They don't get to the same size. We know that. There's like a 20 to, 50-pound discrepancy at the end. And that's just because Duroc is a meat machine, you know. I think next year, I will call that place in Rhode Island. I'll get on his list this year, maybe, actually, and order my pigs from him.
What if we did 50-50?
Well, we
then that's 2 trips though.
Well, yeah, it's double the trip, double the fun, but yeah, right. But the other problem with that is introducing 2 different pig herds.
Oh.
Right. So if they don't come from the same place, they're way more apt to fight with each other.
Okay.
Even at young ages, and God forbid there's a pathogen.
Right.
You know, then whose fault is it?
Right.
You know, it kind of.
That's a good way to look at it.
That's why I'm so picky about where I get piglets from, because like that one year we had 7 pigs die.
Yep.
Which, you know, at $125 a piece, I'm out $1,000. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, the farmer that I get them from can't do anything.
Right.
You know, sometimes I make good on it, and they'll give you a piglet if they got it, or they'll refund you some.
Right.
You know, and I understand why they can't do it all. It's
that
Mother
was
Nature.
a wild year.
That was the year of COVID, for what it's worth. I'm not saying the pigs had COVID. That'd be crazy talk.
Yeah.
But I had never had that problem, and I've never had that problem since. And even in the farming community, I wasn't the only one that year that was having issues with pigs. Now, what was going on, I'm going to digress a little bit here, but what happened the year of COVID is there was a manufacturing or a supply chain issue when it came to processing animals. So these big farms in the Midwest were unloading truckloads of ready-to-go pigs, like ready-to-eat pigs or pigs you could finish out on pasture, whatever you were going to do. New England was flooded with these trucks, and pigs were so friggin' cheap. Like, we're talking 25 cents a pound for a live pig. You know, that's like $60 an animal.
Yeah.
Maybe 100. That's cheap.
Yep.
It's cheap money. So farmers were buying them in. Because guess what else people were doing? Oh, I want to shop local. I want to know where my food comes from all of a sudden. Because the grocery stores were empty. So then you have all these local farms, okay, buying in raised animals from the West, okay, and they're peddling it down to the consumer, and the consumer's thinking, oh, this farmer here in Stonington, or this farmer here in friggin' Danbury, pick a town. I won't say the towns that I know it took place in, I feel like that would be wrong. But, you know, they're thinking they're getting an animal raised in this area, and they're just not. Is it fresh? Sure. It's freshly killed. Mm-hmm. But it's not the same thing as the farmer you met that sold it to you also grew it. That's not what was going on. COVID did an awful thing on agriculture in this country, and maybe we'll talk about that in one episode, because it was absolutely horrific, and I don't think people really understand the gravity of it, or even know about it. So, but that's what was going on. So my thought is, we probably picked up a pathogen from all the pigs that were being shuffled around the country. Who freaking knows what the conditions were where they were coming from? I'm sure it wasn't clean. And then, oh, this trailer went there, right? Picked up some pigs. This trailer went here. This trailer came to our farm, dropped off some pigs, right? Cross-contamination. Because you got to know people are not cleaning their trailers in between hauls. No, there's just no way. Not every time, you know. It can happen that easy. Cross-contamination.
You mean at the butcher house?
No, I mean like if someone went and picked up some live pigs to bring to this farm because this farm was getting some of all
But we didn't have anybody that dropped off pigs here.
Yeah, we did.
Who?
John. You know? But he moves pigs around all the time for people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying he was buying those pigs because I know he wasn't. But he was moving pigs for people. He's you know, this is what people do. Could it have come from there? Sure. All bets are really off. We're talking 6 years ago almost. Mm. But that year was devastating to the pig herd. And we could only get like 3 out of those 7 replaced. So 8, you know, I had to eat that. That was a loss.
Yep.
So 1's not bad. Trust me, it's not great. It's still $125. But luckily so far this season, everybody is doing good. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of a cough first getting them. And that's because they go from a nice warm building out to our pasture pen, woodlot, whatever you want to call it.
Outside. So
they're going from a climate-controlled area to a, you know, good luck.
Basically camping.
Now you're in nature. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now experience where your roots come from. Mm-hmm. So, and eat all the roots you can find. So, so sometimes they'll develop a little bit of a bronchiolitis. infection. But if you let it go, it'll develop into pneumonia, which is basically lights out for most animals. That year, the pigs got sick. I tried to treat them with
Penicillin.
animal-grade penicillin from Tractor Supply.
Side note, Dillon is allergic to penicillin.
Highly.
So he's trying to freaking stab a needle into a not very happy and quick-moving pig.
A quick-moving animal that could not be held down.
Yeah.
So that was a rough year, but we did what we could, and that's what you do when that happens. But and I also heard a thing that's like maybe you're not allergic to penicillin.
I did. You were telling me that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too another time. But anyway, just play safe. So
yeah, I don't want to be finding out the hard way. What do you do then?
Yeah, well, you just hope and pray.
Hopefully, is penicillin an epinephrine in an EpiPen?
We're getting into words that I can't even think of spelling. We need to stop.
I'm just thinking, what would I give you if you had an allergic reaction? Is what I'm wondering.
Well, I'm allergic to mold, and I'm pretty sure penicillin is derived from mold.
Okay.
And I can spell mold, so we'll stop there with the science.
Yep. I don't know the science, but I guess neither do you. Anybody out there?
Yeah.
What do we give Dillon if he has an allergic reaction?
Yikes. Penicillin. So, anyway, that was a rough year. We haven't had to do anything like that. But anyway, so that's what I was saying. This year, the first week, they had a little bit of a cough, but I actually went and dumped some apple cider vinegar in their food trough.
Okay.
Make it all into like a paste. They obviously ate it. Probably tasted, I don't know how it tasted, probably weird. But they didn't have a problem with it.
Yep.
And, they ate it all, and it was good. And I haven't heard anything since. So, yeah. Anyway, and, just to talk about the averages that people were paying last year, at the end of the season, they paid an average of like $4.60 a pound for all their cuts. That's the bacon, the chops, the sausage,
the roast,
the hams, everything.
Kielbasa.
Nope. Local guy doesn't do kielbasa.
Oh, okay.
The kielbasa was just for us to sell on the menu. And that had to go through USDA places. Don't even get me started on that crap, because that could be a whole episode.
Yep.
But, so this year we're raising 22 Yorkshire Hampshire crosses, decent hybrid. We use a research farm to source them. And folks, they paid an average of $4.60 a pound last season. We did go up a little bit this season. Grain actually went up a little bit this season. Everything kind of went up this season, but we only went up about $50 an animal. So, not that much. Anyway.
Right, because an average pig is what, about 180 pounds?
After you dress it, last year they hung anywhere between 180 and 240.
Wow, okay.
But with Durocs, like you're used to the 240 being low.
Really?
Yeah. Or right on average. But like when I had Duroc pigs, none of them were under 2, ever.
Okay.
They were always in the 220s to 280s. I mean, they were beautiful pigs. Beautiful pigs. Anyway, we're going to sell, well actually we already sold 12 to local folks as half or whole, and then the other 10 we are going to take to the USDA place to have them parted out so that we can offer it on our home delivery menu. But that's enough about pigs. I would like you to talk about the person from the market.
Okay.
I know it's a little like on the spot, but when you told me the story, I was like, this is crazy.
Yes.
And just so ironic.
It was bound to happen. And I didn't experience it personally, so it's a secondhand story that I got from my other market manager. But as some people know, many of you may know, I took a job doing the Putnam Saturday Farmers Markets on Saturdays.
In Putnam.
in Putnam.
In case anybody was curious.
In case you wanted to come and see me.
Sure.
After you visit Daigle Farm.
Or before, but come see us either way.
Either way. So, a couple weekends ago, my co-manager of the market sent us a message saying that there was a lady that came in very distraught about our farmers that were there, and basically came up to the market table and started yelling at my market manager, saying that the food was sprayed with pesticides,
Right.
and that she wouldn't buy any of it because she, it's poisonous for her kids and stuff. And she couldn't exactly point out which farm didn't, she didn't point out which farm did spray.
Yeah.
She didn't really have an answer for that,
Did she say
I
that
guess.
she knew this?
No.
Okay.
No, she didn't. So, my manager was,
Huh.
my co-manager was pretty taken off guard, and because the lady only had flowers in her basket, and she's like, all I would buy was flowers because the rest of it is sprayed with pesticides and it's poison. And what else did she say? Oh, saying some of the bakers use artificial sweeteners and everything is poison here.
Really?
Basket was
Bakers-
empty
Bakers
because
thing was new. Didn't hear that one.
yep.
That's crazy.
That was one of the notes I took. So she handled it really well. She said, well, do you have any suggestions on farmers you'd like to see here?
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty good response.
No vendors, no farmers said anything.
No. So then afterwards, she went and asked one of the farms, hey, this is what happened. Do you spray, pretty much do you spray on your crops? And they said, no, we're a regenerative farm. We don't do that. So I don't even think that this lady asked that farm. I think that they just assumed it. I'm not really sure, and we don't spray, and it's not like we don't really go around saying, hey, we don't spray. I mean, sometimes it's brought up, but
we don't exploit it because we're just not that way.
Yeah, but
we don't
also,
spray.
what farm would say, hey, we do? So I'm thinking, too, this lady, it's not like she'd go up to any farmer and be like, do you use poisonous chemicals on your vegetables? And they'd be like, we sure do.
Well, maybe she did.
Yeah. Who's saying we sure do, though?
Well, let me ask you this, Market Manager Cass.
Yes.
Are there any rules where vendors have to list if they spray?
There's not. They do not have
Let
to
me ask
list.
you this. Is there any rule that says vendors have to label foods that they don't necessarily grow?
There is not. It does need to be Connecticut grown because
Let me ask you this, Cass. Is there deception potentially taking place at farmers markets literally everywhere?
There could be.
Good answer. Don't incriminate yourself.
There could be anywhere you go. I guess it's the problem with me is that it's one of those I wouldn't do it, so I don't assume anybody else would.
Now, isn't it just a little weird to you? Don't you think it's weird that there's no farmers have to label if they use sprays at a farmer's market?
Yeah.
Or they have to actually say oh, we didn't grow these beautiful cherries.
I do think you're putting me in a tough position.
Well, you're in a position to have these tough conversations.
I do think that they should absolutely have to label, where the food is coming from if it's not coming from them.
Hucksters.
Yes.
The old middleman, which is a capitalist.
Because it's okay, because we're kind of middlemen in some regard.
We are.
But we always give
credit
where
to
credit
the
is
creator.
due. Yes.
Okay? You'll never see milk in our stand with our name on it.
Right.
Unless we're making milk.
Yeah, yeah.
Same with the
And to be fair, I guess you can't really put your name on a friggin' tomato, but...
Well, isn't that the beauty of the deception?
Yeah.
It's a lie by omission. They say nothing.
Yeah.
And they just allow the consumer's brain to just work. And the consumer needs to ask.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't need to ask.
They shouldn't need to ask, especially...
at a market.
That's right, yes.
That's absurd to me.
Yeah.
It's what's the difference from here to Stop and Shop? Trust me, I know a lot of the
I mean,
farms.
there's a difference if it's coming from a farm, but either way, I think it's one of those.
I mean, not if you can't label the origin.
Well, maybe they can. They
Maybe
just
they
don't.
can. Not if they can't label that it's chemical free. But like you're saying, the same reason we don't talk about it, that we're chemical free.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure all those farms are the same way. Why do we have to label it? We're not chemical free.
Yeah.
It goes without saying. So I would do the same. I would never assume as a person anyway, because we see what we can produce without chemicals. Why would you even bother? And I know the farms that are there, and I would imagine that a lot of them are above board and not lying to people.
Right.
And not doing a lot of the middlemen. Like, it's okay to be a middleman on stuff that's, like, obvious. Like, it's obvious you come here, there's no milk cow, There's no, there's no burger, cows for burger or anything like that. And it's labeled in our stand. But, if we had, I don't know, tomatoes in our stand, people would probably just assume that they're ours.
Right. Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they be?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many stands, so many markets, so many places where this just takes place, and consumers are most of the time, none the wiser.
Mm.
And that is wrong. It's an ethical thing. But that's what goes on, and you're seeing it.
It's true. Yep.
As crazy as it might be.
Yeah, and it's even crazier because the people that go to, you got to think, people that are going to farmers markets, they already care about where their food's coming from. That's why they're going there in the first place.
Exactly.
So.
So they have the right to know all of that information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good luck with it all. You're almost done, right?
Yes.
Well, not even. When's the last one?
The last market that I do is the end of October. Last Saturday in October.
So we'll say halfway.
Mm-hmm.
You're halfway.
I'm halfway there.
Hang in there.
But you know what? Maybe I can make some changes.
Mm.
I'm not usually good at that, being the bad guy.
Well, again, we won't talk about the details of the other situation, but it seems like you guys have already made some good changes.
Yes.
It seems like what we've talked about, what you guys have figured out, is exactly what the market needs.
Yes.
But in lieu of incriminating yourself, we will move on. So, a couple of our videos recently on Facebook kind of went, viral's the wrong word. I'm gonna say viral for us though, because we don't usually get that many likes or views.
Or views, yeah.
One of them got like 12,500 views and 500 likes almost. Like, that's not normal for us.
Like, we're usually lucky if we can get a couple hundred views, so it was a big change. And it was nothing, it was just a regular old video view with the pigs, so it wasn't anything out of the normal.
Well, the video I picked to talk about was one with turkeys, only because it also got like 170 likes, which is pretty rare for our posts. So when you start looking through the likes, you start to see all these names of people that I presume are bots. I don't think that they're real people. They're not our friends, and I'm not sure exactly how they see it. Maybe because it's public. I don't know. Or people share it.
Yeah, so it's circulating through the algorithm.
It's going through, So I just wanted to read a couple of these names because I thought they were funny and fake. So the first one we got here is Ligia Akther.
Ligia Akther.
Ligia Akther. I can't even really say it.
Okay.
Caroline Gumbo.
Caroline Gumbo. That's crazy. I was going to say, that's crazy enough that could be a real name.
Well, the profile photo is a baby. So I don't know.
It could be an older person.
Okay, the next one's in Mandarin.
The grandbaby.
So I can't even begin to pronounce it. It's just symbols.
Yeah.
Then we have Shelly and Mike. One word. Shelly and Mike. Shelly and Mike.
Like Shelly Ann Mike?
Yeah, but Shelly and Mike. Shelly and Mike Watson.
Okay.
Shelly and Mike Watson.
That could be real.
Navdeep Sandhu. Navdeep Sandhu.
Navdeep Sandhu.
If that's you, send us a message if you can hear us. We've got Mary Noel. That could be real.
That could be real. Yeah.
Looks kind of real. Looks like she's on an amusement park ride or something.
Okay.
Then we have Akafumi Sasahara. Akafumi Sasahara.
These could certainly be real names, but they're never going to support our business. I don't know. Maybe they will.
You think Akafumi's a real name?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's
Navdeep's sister.
An Indian name or something. Yes. It could be an Indian name, and we're not accustomed to those names.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
It could be, but we don't even know them. So it just makes it so sketchy.
Yeah.
We got Donna Fick. Donna Fick could be real.
That sounds like a real name.
It's a picture of a cow. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Nancy Russ Tudemacher. Nancy Russ Tudemacher.
Yep.
That could be real. I don't know about that.
These could all be real.
I just. Okay,
But we
how about
watched a
this?
video of bot farms.
Oh, bot farms are real.
Yeah, I
100%
had no
real.
idea. When Dylan would tell me these things, I'd be like, okay, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of tinfoil hat going on.
Yeah, well,
But then I
okay.
saw this video of like, there's people at a computer and there's hundreds of iPhones
Mm-hmm.
up on the wall, all plugged into chargers, and they're just like scrolling through
Yep.
stuff and
Yep.
probably liking, maybe commenting and stuff.
Data farming.
Data farming, yeah. I'm like, okay, this is
Gross.
definitely so then I think about, you used to be able to, I never did it, but there would always be these things, you get like weird spam messages that are like, do you want more followers? You can pay and we'll give you millions of followers. So it's all fake, but it's
Yeah.
like to make it look like you have way more followers on your right on your
Yeah.
pages than you really do.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, yep.
Carrying on, we've got some interesting names here. We've got Melinda Tay. Okay, 2 words. It's Melinda Tay. Another word, Vaughn. Last name Sydow.
Melinda Tavon Sydow.
Well, see, it's you want to say Tavon like it's one word.
Yeah.
But it's
Tay.
Tavon.
Tavon.
Maybe try like Vaughn with
Tay,
the Sydow.
Vaughn. Von Sydow.
Sydow.
I don't know.
Melinda,
know.
if that's you, send us a message.
Melinda, if you're real, we're sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm not. All right, then we got another one. Saw, S-A, is the first name. Dornelius,
Saturnalia.
Saturnalia is the Roman Christmas.
Ooh.
Ancient Rome.
Okay.
Look at that connection. I don't know.
This could be all their alias accounts.
There's more to the name.
Their burner Facebooks.
Sa Dornelius de Gasperi. De
Okay.
Gasperi.
That could be real.
That
These could all.
Like the
Now that
profile
I hear them,
photo-
I'm like, maybe.
The profile photo is a picture of words from a book.
Mm.
You know, so okay.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? For our opening weekend, my sister, we had a free raffle, and my sister put in, and one of our friends from middle school
Yeah.
put in fake names.
Fake names.
Fake names for the raffles, and we pulled the fake name, and Dylan read it out loud, just clear and confident. And my sister started laughing, and we had to redo the whole raffle.
It was pretty funny.
Uh-huh.
There's a video of it somewhere.
Yep, I can't remember what the name was, but it was pretty funny. Yeah,
It wasn't like Hugh Jabbit.
yeah.
It was like Huge Butt. We've got Serenia Topia Gonzalez. We've got Fatima B.N. Fatima is the first name, last name, capital B.N. Fatima B.N.
Mhm.
We have Qyam Malik. Qyam Malik.
Do you know? I wonder if anybody out there is like Dylan Daigle. This is a fake name.
Well, it's not.
This is a fake name. Oh, and then when you find out the middle name, Dylan Dean Daigle,
Great.
totally fake.
Now my identity's going to be stolen.
Yep.
Great.
So sorry. If you want to know his social security, send me a message.
Tata Mabawa.
Tata.
7 is the last name.
Okay.
Tata Mabawa 7.
That's a fake.
Oh, then we got a red flag. We got a fake one here. All right, I'll only do a couple more of these. They're ridiculous. Elvis.
Elvis.
Elvis Ninjamuva. Elvis Ninjamuva.
That sounds like some kind of song.
Yeah, maybe that's intended. I got another one that's in Arabic. I can't read it. I've got Sadiqa Ashay. Sadiqa Ashay.
Point is, they're probably not farming. Maybe.
Fatma Hosger.
That one got me.
Fatma Hosger.
Fatma Hosger. Fatma Hosger.
Not to be confused with
Fatma dinner.
Fatima B.N. This is a different Fatma, not Fatima.
Fatma, come in.
Fatma
Time to wash up.
Mine goal. Mine goal.
Mine call.
Ken Cat.
Ken Cat.
That's a good one. It's like Kit Kat.
Mm-hmm.
Kazimierz Bielaus. Kazimierz Bielaus. Now, if I've read your name and you end up hearing this, I want to know that you're real. So please, reach out and we could meet you, Fatima. We could hear from Meingal. Oh, this one's probably real. Maria de Jesus.
Maybe it's Maria de Jesus.
Well, Maria de Jesus. Randy King. That one's probably real. Randy King.
That sounds like a famous name.
Randy
If that's
King.
an alias, you did a good job.
Helga Fields. I like that one.
Helga Fields.
Helga Fields. That one looks real. Wagner Alves. That could be real. Looks like a real photo. Anyway, point is, there's a lot of fakes out there. This one I can't even read. Sanjeev Suman. I like that.
Sanjeev Suman.
Sanjeev Suman. Anyway, that's enough of that. But anyway, we got a kick out of it the other night reading some of these names, like Fatima Hosger or Hosger.
That one got me so good.
Fatima Hosger. But
that'll be the one. They're like, screw you.
right. We'll hear from Fatima Hosger. Fatima Hosger. Now, if that is a thing, like you said all at once, that I don't know, like a slang or something, let me know. Fatima Hosger. Last call, Fatima Hosger. Fatima BN. That's another good one. Anyway, moving on. We're going to close the show with a couple of kind words for a customer, a friend, a neighbor we know and love as Dan the Man. About a month ago, Dan lost his life, unfortunately, in just random happenstance at home. And he was, I would say, relatively young, 61. But Dan was a union painter, and he did so much painting around the farm. I mean, he painted the apartment, he painted the grow room, he painted the house, he painted the
part of the barn.
He painted the inside ceiling in the farm stand. And, you know, Dan...
He painted my brother's house.
Yeah, he painted your brother's
inside.
house.
Yep.
You know, Dan was just like an all-around good guy.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely one of the best souls I ever met.
Oh, always so happy. And I'm pretty sure I asked him one time, like, why are you so... You're always in such a good mood, Dan. Like, is it real? But he said, life's too short.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. It definitely is. He was always in a positive mood. He never had a bad day.
Yeah.
And even if he did, he didn't.
Yep.
He didn't seem like it got him down. It probably didn't.
No, and then I asked his wife, after he had passed, if he was always in a good mood, and she said, ever since since she's met him, which was
late 80s.
Yep.
Late 80s.
He's just been that kind of guy. So it's quite inspiring. It makes those are the types of people that you meet once, and you want to be like them when you grow up.
Yeah.
You're like, this person is such a pure person.
But Dan would never say that he grew up.
No, yeah, that's true. Maybe that was the key. That was the key. He had all those funny little sayings. One of them was, I'm having too much fun. It should. What would he say? Something like, it shouldn't be allowed.
I'm having so much fun. It shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah. Yep.
Another one that was, I think of all the time is, you'd ask him how he's doing, and he'd say, "I'm doing bright and dandy like cotton candy." That was a classic.
Or how are you, Dan? Bright and dandy like cotton candy.
And then you say, "Have a good day." He's like, "I'm gonna do it."
I'm gonna do it.
Or for sure.
He was just like a character. You know?
Yeah. Always wore a cowboy hat, and a lot of times he'd wear like white painter jeans, because he's a painter, and he had this purple button-down shirt that he was quite fond of as of late. But Dan has been a customer of Daigle Farm since before Daigle Farm was even Daigle Farm. I started with an egg-laying flock in high school, and once I had eggs, Dan was like a customer every week. Back then, I had a Sunday egg delivery route where I would just deliver eggs every Sunday, and Dan's like 4 houses down. Oh, maybe 6 houses down from the farm on Woodward Road here. So I would always go there, and I'd put them in his mailbox. The thing's huge. But they were good for like 3 dozen eggs every week.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Yep.
You know, he would feed them to his dogs.
And he was so great. Sometimes he would call up Dillon, and, you know,
Yeah.
he always wanted to make sure that Dillon took care of all of his other customers first, because I always figured it was like I'm always going to be here. You know, take care of these customers, because no matter what, you'll never lose me.
Yeah.
So he would call up and be like, hey, can I just get 3 eggs for the morning?
3 eggs for breakfast in the morning? Yeah.
And he was the only one. Dylan would say, yeah, come on and pick them yourself.
Yeah.
Like, don't even, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not home right now, but don't hesitate.
Yeah, Dan was one of those guys, like, if you let him do that kind of thing, he would, like, check on the waterer for the hens.
Yeah.
He would see if they needed food. I can remember times where he'd stoke the wood stove.
Wow.
You know, and then he would text me and be like, hey, brother. You know, I read you his texts before,
Yeah.
you know, it was always the same. Hey, brother. You know, he was just always trying to take care of people that took care of him.
Yeah.
You know,
Dylan told me stories where he would come by, you know, maybe to get eggs or something, and Dylan and his father are working on, you know, the pig pen or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He ends up staying for hours
Just
helping
help
them
us.
finish it.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't have to, and we didn't ask him, but, you know.
Yeah.
He just saw that we were doing it, and that obviously it's better with 2 more hands.
Yep.
And he was no dummy, so Dan was always helpful. That's
And how did
probably
you guys meet
his
Dan?
neighbors. Actually, after the house burned down
Okay.
in '97.
Mm-hmm.
97, right? Yeah, 1997.
Okay.
Dan had lived up the street, but after that had happened, they came over and like introduced themselves to my dad, and was just like, "Hey, what can we do to help you?"
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So like those old fashioned, like, oh, let's go meet the neighbors.
Yeah.
Situation. Like,
But, like,
let's
it was-
bring them a pie. You know.
Yeah.
They're going through a tough time. Let's
Yes.
see, you know, how they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how they started their friendship, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. Good.
That's-
That's way very sad, and he will be greatly missed. He suffered a heart attack while he was cutting up some trees in his yard, and Cass and I went over there last week before, to finish cutting up the trees for Dawn, his wife. And it was always Dan and Dawn, you know. It was this
Right. Dynamic duo.
dynamic duo of Dan and Dawn. Yeah, okay, that's too much alliteration.
The dynamic duo, Dan and Dawn.
I'm trying to think what else. Dan was also a yearly half a pig customer, and he was always, you know, that's what, you know, another thing, like, he would help on the pig pen if we needed help because he was benefiting from it. You know, even though he was paying for his half a pig, which he, you know, the guy was always nice, and a lot of times he would tip us for eggs, and, you know, actually one of my favorites probably was when Dan, recently, this past spring, I lost a $100 bill on the farm, and I looked for like 2 weeks, and I couldn't find it. And then one day Dan came to get eggs, and he hands me this chicken crap covered $100 bill. It was wet. It was raining like today. And he's like, did you lose this? And I was like, dude, you're never going to believe it, but yeah, I did lose that $100 bill. He gave it to me, you know, no question.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that, clearly, because I had lost it, so he could have just picked it up and assumed one of my customers dropped it or something, and he didn't. He gave it to me, you know. That was just nice. It was good of him to do. And he relieved a lot of turmoil that I had, because I was so mad
at yourself for losing $100.
That was the first time that I ever lost money like that.
Yeah.
And it was just so freaking mad. But yes, Dan the man, he saved my mental health that day. Yeah, he was a good guy.
Just a genuine soul.
Yeah, he will be missed. And if anybody that knew him actually listens to this show, there is a celebration of life on August 1st. That's coming up. It's next Thursday at the Brooklyn Gathering, located in Brooklyn.
think it's technically Warrigan, maybe.
Yeah, but it's like, isn't that a burrito?
It is. Yeah, back to the burritos.
I think that's how this started, actually. It was with that. So anyway, it's on the Brooklyn-Warrigan line in the old VFW,
Yep.
which is also where Dan and Dawn got married.
Right. They
Which
had a
is just
surprise.
like
Or they didn't, I don't know if they got married there, but that was their surprise
Right.
wedding.
I think she said her father paid to have a reception.
Yes.
after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was this, yep.
And now it's not even that place, but Dan
No.
did a lot of work for the people that own it now.
Yep.
And when they found out that Dan had died, they were just like, beside themselves like all of us were, and wanted to help however they can. So they were kind enough to give us the space and for the afternoon. So it's going to be 2 to 5, August 1st at the Brooklyn Gathering. You can find it online. I'm sorry I don't have an address for you all, but if you knew Dan, come on out. Come say, your condolences to Dawn.
Yes.
We will be there. I don't know if we'll be there for 3 hours, but we will definitely be there.
Mm-hmm.
There will be food and drink, and I'm sure many memories. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Simply Growing Food Podcast. Cass, you got anything to say to people at home?
As always, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. That's going to do it, everybody. Till the next time, bye-bye.